I don't know if it's supposed to look like that. The grade. Anyway, Shalom, Yasharahla, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. And I'm going to continue with the lesson. And I'm going to try to cover as much as possible. The title of this lesson is 40 Years and Titan of Salvation, or Salvation of Yasharahla, whatever you want to call it. I'll figure out the title when this is over. There's a lot to cover and to read, so y'all bear with me. We're going to start in the book of Exodus, and we're going to start with the topic in that order. Just remember. All right, let's go to Exodus, where we're going to start at 24th chapter. Yeah. Exodus 24th chapter. Man, I think I missed something. Yeah, I think I missed something. I think actually supposed to be a book before. Y'all bear with me. Oh, man, I don't have my... Yeah, y'all can bear with me 1 second. So y'all can just get Exodus 40. If I have to go backwards, so be it. But I'm really trying to cover... It's very important, and you're going to understand the importance of it. Why I'm dealing with that topic, because it was very significant in scriptures. In case you were wondering, it was very significant in scripture. It's very significant, and I didn't realize it till I did some research, and I said, man, I just got to deal with this alone. Is like a lesson by itself. And, if I don't continue, I might have to do a part. I don't know. I may have to do a part 2, because it's going to take a minute. I'll tell you that. It's going to take a little while. I ain't going to lie to you. So, hopefully I'll be able to cover everything. Yeah, I'm looking over my notes, and for sure, I skipped pretty much a whole section. And let's see how I'm gonna do this. Okay, yeah, we're gonna go to Genesis. I'm gonna try to start with Genesis. Y'all hold Exodus 24 in your minds, or write it down in your notes, right? And yeah, I gotta well, at least cover yeah, some chapters in here, man, because. Yeah, I got to cover that. At least 2 of them. Let's go to Genesis 5th chapter. And I have to go to Genesis 5th chapter because it's a period of time. It's a period of time when it's pretty much like chaos. And I know when I get to it, it's going to... I don't want to quote... I think it's dealing with... yeah, I'm gonna find it. Either way, I'm gonna find it. Let's deal with 5, and we might go somewhere else. Let's bear with me. Genesis 5th chapter, and I might be in the wrong one. Yeah, I am. Yeah, it is. So let's, instead of drop 5th chapter, all right? I'm trying to go straight to it. Yeah. Drop the 5th. Let's go to Genesis 9th chapter. Genesis 9th chapter, and I want to try to get cut to the chase, cut right to it. Because like I said, it's going to be a lot I want to cover. Right? And let's go to Genesis 9th chapter. Let's go to Genesis 9th chapter. And let's start at Let's start at, let's see. Let's start at 11. It said, and I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of the flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And Yahweh said, this is the token of the covenant which I made between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. Okay. I want to go before that. I want to go probably a chapter over. We're gonna finish where I left off, because I stopped at 15 verse. So we're gonna come back to that 9 and 15. I stopped at 9 and 15. So let's go to a chapter. Right? Okay. 8th chapter and 6th verse. It reads, and it came to pass at the end of 40 days. Let's read from 1, then we're going to jump down. And the Most High remembered Noah and every living creature and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And the Most High made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters was assuaged. And the fountains also of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained. And the water returned off the earth continually, and after the end of the 150 days, the water were abated. I think it's the 7. Y'all already know where I'm trying to go. It's by now, I guess. It's dealing with 40, right? All right. And yeah, so we know, okay, we already know the story. Most of y'all do. So y'all can read it on your own. 6, 7 chapter. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, 11 chapter. Right? So it rained. It's Genesis 7:17. I just wanted to read that. 7th chapter and the 17th verse. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and bare up the ark, and it was lift up above the earth, and the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the earth. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were worth under the whole heaven were covered. So that was, I stopped at 19 verse. Genesis 7 chapter, 17 verse to 19 verse. Now we're going to go back to Genesis 9 and 9 and what was it, 15? Right, so this is where he's drying up the waters. And I will, 15, I'll read 15 again. Genesis 9 chapter and the 15th verse. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between Yahweh and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And Yahweh said unto Noah, this is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon earth. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. And he's a progenitor of all our so-called Africans today. Ham, right? And it says, and these are the 3 sons of Noah. and of them was the whole earth overspread. Okay. Now from there, now we can go to Exodus. I just wanted to establish that. So when that 40 started in Genesis. Right? One more I wanted to read in Genesis. Genesis 20, I think it's 25th chapter. One more I want to read in Genesis before we go to Exodus. Genesis 25th chapter. I think it's 25th or 26th. 25th, I think it is. We're going to read one more in Genesis. Because Genesis means beginning. So it was a beginning, literally a beginning with Noah and his sons. That's why I had to read that. So that's why I had to read that. Genesis 25th chapter, right? And we're going to start at 20th verse. We're going to start at Genesis 25th chapter, and the 20th verse. It reads, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padanaram, the sister to Laban, the Syrian. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife. Y'all probably say, why are you reading that? Well, that number is important. And I told you we're going to deal with them, well, the number 40 and 40 years. So we're going to deal with the number 40, period. So let me get that established. We're going to deal with the number 40, period. It's very significant. Now, this is his age of Isaac. Where's the point to that? Let's go to Hebrews real quick. Because it's something the Most High established in the beginning. And Abraham knew this. It was told Abraham, right? Let's go to Hebrews 11th chapter. And I'm reading on, I didn't get started, but y'all know I was doing reading before this. Anyway, Hebrews 11th chapter, and it starts at the 18th verse. It says, of whom it was said that in Isaac shall thy seed be called. Okay? He said, in Isaac shall thy seed be called. So you already know, even when Yasharahla was on the scene during the time of the Romans, he said what? He always quoted the father, the gods of the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They were confirmed. Who was the son of Isaac? Jacob. He was the chosen. Who was rejected? Esau. He was playing the wicked in the earth today. It was prophecy too. History and prophecy in that same book. Okay, and 19th verse, accounting that Yahweh was able to raise him up, even from the dead, from whence also he received him in a figure. Right? First to Romans 4:17. But let's go to 20th verse. By faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. Showing you it was all prophecy. Told you, there's history and prophecy in that book. That's how you always got to deal with Genesis. Because you don't understand the beginning of the book, then put the Bible down. I always say that. 21st verse. By faith, Jacob, when he was a dying, blessed both the sons of Joseph and worshiped leaning upon the top of his staff. By faith, Joseph, when he died, made mention of the departing of the children of Israel and gave commandment concerning his bones. All right, we're going to drop that. Right, but I only really supposed to read 18th verse, but I just felt to read them a little more, felt good. Let's go to Exodus, back to, now we can go to Exodus, right? I want to establish the forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Sarah. He said, Isaac shall thy seed be called. All right, let's go to Exodus now. Exodus 24th chapter. Now we can go to Exodus 24th chapter, right? Real quick. Exodus 24th chapter. And we're just going to go over, deal with that number, man. It ain't nothing too deep yet. But we're going to get to that. Exodus 24th chapter and the 18th verse read. Oh, wait a minute. I'm down in the wrong book. Wait a minute. There's no. No. I think I got the wrong. 24. No. Yeah, 8. Salakia. Exodus 24 chapter and the 18th verse. Salakia. I thought I had quoted wrong, but it was right. I thought I don't know. I'm a little jittery today. I don't know why. Maybe because of all the reading. I don't know. Anyway, Exodus 24th chapter and 18th verse reading. And Moses went into the midst of the cloud and gat him up into the mount. And Moses was in the mount 40 days and 40 nights. There go that number again. 40 days and 40 nights. So you already know what it is. Let's go to further up. And we're still in Exodus, 34th chapter, right? Let's go up to 34th chapter. He was given 613 laws, and he was given a history. And simultaneously. Exodus 34th chapter and the 28th verse. It reads, and he was there with Yahweh 40 days and 40 nights. He did neither eat bread nor drink water, and he wrote upon the tables the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments. Now we know it wasn't just the 10 commandments. He wrote 613 laws, consisting of moral laws, civil laws, dietary laws, ceremonial laws, and back for them it was laws of sacrifice, which was 5 sets of laws, right? But he also would show prophecy and history once again, right? Let's read 29th verse. It says, and it came to pass when Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tables of testimony in Moses' hand, when he came down from the mount, that Moses was not, that the skin of his face shone while he talked with him. And when Aaron and all the children of Israel saw Moses, behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come near him. And Moses called unto them, and Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation returned unto him, and Moses talked with them. His face shined with the power, essence from the Almighty, and that glory. That's why they was like, he was like a bright light to them, you know. Just like they show like artwork in during the Dark Ages, when they show a painting of a bright circle around him. Moses had that shine, that glory, that shine. He was amongst the Most High. What do you expect? It's gonna rub off, man. That word is light. Anyway, and it ain't a metaphor. You know what I'm saying? So the Most High wanted them to see his glory, and this was serious business. How about that? So you see, he fasted 40 days and 40 nights, and just was given the laws, which is in the 5 books, and the history was shown all that by the Heavenly Father, right? Now let's go to Numbers. Excuse me. Let's go to Numbers 13th chapter. Let's go to Numbers 13th chapter. Numbers 13th chapter, and we're going to start at the 25th verse. Okay, it reads, and they returned from searching of the land after 40 days. And they went and came to Moses and Aaron and to all the congregation of the children of Israel unto the wilderness of Paran, to Kadesh, and brought back word unto them, unto all the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told him and said, we came unto the land whither thou sentest us, and surely it floweth with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. And it had great vegetation and fruit and vegetation. Nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled and very great, And moreover, we saw children of Anak there. Now, if y'all know the history, I went over that about Nimrod. Anak was a servant of Nimrod. He was a Hamite, but they were giants. Nimrod was a giant too. So they were giants. They was descendants of the descendants of Anak. And the book of Jasher is just spelled different, but it's the same person. So I just let y'all know that. So those that was wise enough to get the book of Jasher, you'll get understanding on your more understanding. This is your history. You can play around if you want. Let's go real quick to over one chapter, 14th chapter, and we're gonna go to the 35th verse, Numbers 14th chapter, and the 34th verse. Salakia. It's the 34th verse. Numbers 13th chapter and the 34th verse. Real quick. And after the number of days which ye search the land, even 40 days, each day for a year shall ye bear your iniquities, even 40 years. So it's telling you, it's significant. He said, so those days represented years. We got that established in Numbers 14th chapter and the 34th verse. I'm going to read it again. And after the number of the days in which you search the land, even 40 days, each day for a year, shall ye bear your iniquities, even 40 years, and ye shall know my breach of promise. 35th verse. I, Yahweh, have said, I will surely do it unto all this evil congregation that are gathered together against me in the wilderness, and they shall be consumed, and there they shall die. See, he was purging. That's a purging. This is deep. I'm going to end up covering some of my topic, another topic right in this right now because of this, you know. I told you that was the Spirit guiding me for this. I'm telling you. Okay. Yeah, that's serious. And the men which Moses sent to search, 36th verse, and the men which Moses sent to search the land, whom returned and made all the congregation to murmur against him by bringing up a slander upon the land, even those men that did bring up the evil report upon the land died by the plague before Yahweh. So he judged them in the wilderness. See? Now, 38th verse, I'm going to read. But Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb son of Jephunneh, which were of the men that went to search the land, lived still. So you know there's a book of Joshua. So we know what happened. So they survived. Mind you, we already know the story. Moses didn't make it into the land. How about that? Saying one word wrong, it was a wrap. Well. Anyway, y'all read the story on your own. And Moses told these things unto the children of Israel, and the people mourned greatly. Yeah, he told them what happened and why. Yeah. Now let's go to Deuteronomy. Real quick, we're going to go to Deuteronomy because it's probably a little bit much to cover. I don't know how much, but we're going to go into some history further down. But yeah, I got to do this. Deuteronomy 9th chapter, right? And we're going to start at the we're going to start at the 9th verse. We'll just read some. Yeah, we're going to read down to the 9th verse. Well, I'll start at the 9th verse. 9th chapter and the 9th verse. It reads, When I was gone up into the mount to receive tables of stone, even the tables of the covenant which Yahweh made with you, then I abode in the mount 40 days and 40 nights. I neither did eat bread nor drink water. 10th verse. And Yahweh delivered unto me 2 tables of stone written with the finger of the Most High, and of them was written according to all the words which Yahweh spake with you in the mount out of the midst of the fire in the day of the assembly. And it came to pass at the end of the 40 days and 40 nights that Yahweh gave me the 2 tables of stone, even the tables of the covenant. Right? And we're going to keep reading. And Yahweh said unto me, Arise, get thee down from hence, for thy people which thou hast brought forth out of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They are quickly turned aside out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten image, meaning an idol. 13th verse. Furthermore, Yahweh spake unto me, saying, I have seen this people, and behold, it is stiff-necked people. Let me alone, that I may destroy them, and blot out their name from under heaven, and I will make thee a nation mighty and greater than they. So I turned and came down from the mount, and the mount burned with fire, and the 2 tables of the covenant were in my 2 hands. And I looked, and behold, ye had sinned against Yahweh your power, and had made you a molten calf. Ye had turned aside quickly out of the way which Yahweh had commanded you. And I took the 2 tables and cast them out of my 2 hands, and brake them before your eyes. And I fell down before Yahweh as the first 40 days and 40 nights. I did neither eat bread nor drink water, but all of your sins which ye sinned in doing wickedly in the sight of Yahweh, to provoke him to anger. Yeah, that's the 18th verse. I pretty much, because I was supposed to jump down, but I said, no, I'm going to read this. Right? Yeah. I'm going to read down a little more, probably the 21st verse. I'm going to read to the, yeah. For I was, to 19th verse, for I was afraid of the anger and hot displeasure wherewith Yahweh was wroth against you to destroy you. But Yahweh hearkened unto me at that time also. And Yahweh was very angry with Aaron to have destroyed him, and prayed for, and I prayed for Aaron also the same time. And I took your sin, the calf which ye have made, and burnt it with fire, and stamped it, and ground it very small, even until as was as small as the dust. And I cast the dust thereof into the brook, and that it descended out of the mount. So he destroyed it. We know that story, right? Had to read it anyway, but I don't know. I had to do that, right? So from there, right? Okay, I pretty much read a good part of Deuteronomy. So now I'm going to bring out, let's see. Now we're going to go into, oh, no. It's more to read. Wow. Jeez. I was jumping, huh? The way that I took notes is just the way it is. It was kind of topsy-turvy a little, but that's how it be sometimes. We got to go with the spirit. Yeah, we ain't finished. Let's go to Judges. Judges 8th chapter. Oh boy, yeah, this might be a 2-part. It might be. Let me see. Judges 8th chapter. Judges 8th chapter. It gets even better here though, because like I said, I was going over certain stories just to get it right, and man, it was worth it. It was exciting reading your history. So Judges 8th chapter talks about, you know, that captain, I think it was Captain Gideon, right? We're going to read about Gideon. Judges 8th chapter. We might jump around a little. Let's see. So we're gonna start at 1 and read down. Judges 8th chapter, first verse. And the men of Ephraim said unto him, Why hast thou served us thus, that thou callest us not when thou wentest to fight with the Midianites? Today you call them Arabs, the Midianites, or Ishmael, children of Ishmael, right? And they did chide with him sharply. And he said unto them, What have I done now in comparison of you? Is not the gleaning of the grapes of Ephraim better than the vintage of Abiezer? 3rd verse. Yahweh have delivered into your hands the princes of Midian, Arab, and Zeeb. And what was I able to do in comparison of you? Then their anger was abated toward him when he had said that. And Gideon came to Jordan and passed over, he and their 300 men that were with him, faint yet pursuing them. 5th verse. And he said unto the men of Sakar, give, I pray you, loaves of bread unto the people that follow me, for they be faint, and I am pursuing after Zebah and Zalmunna, kings of Midian. So he's telling the story. They was going to subdue the land, in case you were wondering, which they did accomplish, because he named the first 2 kings of Midian that they conquered in the 1st verse. And I'm going to jump from there down to the 28th verse. And this is proof. And that was the 300. That's where the real 300 come from. Gideon, story of Gideon. Thus were Midian subdued before the children of Israel, so that they lifted up their heads no more, and the country was in quietness 40 years in the days of Gideon. 40 years. There go that number again. It seemed like a completion. But that numbers was a telltale. I gotta mark that one though. That confirmed what I always was thinking. But he likely, most I tell you, when you read, go over your history, it reminds you every time. What you was thinking was right. I was thinking was right. That numbers is something. That book of Numbers pretty much said everything for me. Oh, all praise to the Most High, I can tell you that. Right? So that was Judges. Gideon subdued the land amongst and subdued the Ishmaelites, the people of Midian, which are the Ishmaelite or Arab nation. Right? From there, let's go to 1 Samuel real quick. I don't want to stay too long because there's a lot to cover, like I said. 1 Samuel, we're going to start in the 7th chapter. 1 Samuel, 7th chapter. Oh, not 7, 17th chapter, Salakia. 1 Samuel, 17th chapter. Right? I was going to start at 6, but I'm going to jump up a little. Matter of fact, I'm going to jump up to 12th verse. Well, no. We're going to start at 11. Right? We'll start at 11. And I got to change that in my, okay, yeah. We're going to start at 11th verse. When Saul and all Israel heard those words of the Philistines, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. Now David was the son that Ephrathite of Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse, that's his father, and he had 8 sons. And the man went among men for an old man in the days of Saul. Excuse me. And the 3 eldest sons of Jesse went and followed Saul. So they was in the army of Israel with King Saul to the battle. And the names of the 3 sons that went to the battle were Eliab, the firstborn, and the next unto him, Abinadab, Salakia, and the third, Shammah. And David was the youngest, and the 3 eldest followed Saul. And David was the youngest, and the 3 followed Saul. So the 3 was an army, like I said. Like it says, 15th verse. But David went and returned from Saul to feed his father sheep at Bethlehem. So he was tending the sheep. Y'all know the story. What was his, child. And the Philistines drew near morning and evening and presented themselves 40 days. So it was the 16th verse I was keying in on. 40 days. But I wanted to give you the little history of the family. Right? 16th verse again. And the Philistines drew near morning and evening Let me read that again. And the Philistine drew near morning and evening and presented himself 40 days. So when it say he presented himself 40 days, it's showing you the Philistines were fighting the army of Israel for 40 days and 40 nights, for you to understand. When you read on, you'll see, remember, this is a war, right? Let's see. How far should I read? You know what? I'm going to read on. We're going to read on, and I'll tell you where we're going to stop. Yeah, we're going to jump around, okay? We're going to read on. 17th verse. And Jesse said unto David his son, take now for thy brethren an ephah of his parched corn, that's a measurement, an ephah of his parched corn, these 10 loaves, and run to the camp to thy brethren. And carry these 10 cheeses unto the captain of their 1,000, and look how thy brethren fare, like how they doing, and take their pledge. 19th verse. Now Saul and they and all the men of Israel were in the valley of Elah, fighting with the Philistines. And David rose up early in the morning and left the sheep with a keeper, and took and went as Jesse had commanded him. And he came to the trench as the host was going forth to the fight, and shouted for the battle. For Yasharahla and the Philistines had put the battle in array, army against army. And David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage, and ran into the army, and came and saluted his brothers. 23rd verse. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath, by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spake according to the same words. And David heard them. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him, and were sore afraid. And the men of Israel said, have ye seen this man that is come up? Surely to defy Yasharahla is he come up, and it shall be that the man who killeth him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Yasharahla. 26th verse. And David spake to the men that stood by him, saying, what shall be done to the man that killeth this Philistine, and taketh away his reproach from Israel, from Yasharahla? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should defy the armies of the living power? And the people answered him after this manner, saying, so shall it be done to the man that killeth him. Right? So, and Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spake unto the men, and Eliab's anger was kindled against David, and he said, why camest down hither? And with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride and thy naughtiness of thy heart, for thou art come down that thou mightest see the battle. So I'm going to jump down to the 34th verse. This is a lot to cover. And David said unto Saul, thy servant, no, 33rd verse, Salaki. And Saul said to David, thou art not able to go against the Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. And David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep. And there, he telling him a story now, 34th verse again. And David said unto Saul, which is a true story, and David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep. And there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him, and smote him, and delivered it out of his hand, out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, And this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he have defied the armies of the living power, Yahweh. 37th verse. And David said, moreover, Yahweh that delivered me out of the paw of the lion, out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go, and Yahweh be with thee. Right? So y'all know the story. Do I got to finish going on? Y'all know what happened, right? So y'all can read the rest of that on your own. I know I kept y'all in suspense, but that's the point of studying and reading for yourself. Reading the history. Okay, from there, I stopped at 37. I jumped around a little. And we're going to go to 2 Kings. Oh boy. No, not second, Salakia. 1 Kings. 1 Kings 19. And he arose and did eat and drink, and went in the 7th. And he arose and did eat and drink, and went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb. Okay, so that means I got to read up. Slack. So what was this about? Elijah. Salaki. 1 Kings 19th chapter. We're going to start at the first verse. And yeah, this is Elijah. All right, let's start at the first verse. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and withal how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah, saying, so let the gods do to me, and more also, if I make not thy life as thy life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. So y'all know the story. She thinks she gonna defeat the prophet. You know what happened with that. And when the prophet of the Most High, Yasharahla, of Yahweh. All right. And when he saw that, he arose and went for his life, and came to Beersheba, which belongeth to Judah, and left his servant there. 4th verse. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under the juniper tree, and he requested for himself that he might die, and said, it is enough. Now, O Yahweh, take away my life, for I am not better than my fathers. Because remember, Jezebel was a witch, a powerful witch. So, 5th verse. And as he lay and slept under a juniper tree, behold, then an angel touched him and said unto him, arise and eat. 6th verse. And he looked, and behold, there was a cake baking on the coals, and a cruse of water at his head. And he did eat and drink, and laid him down again. 7th verse. And the angel of Yahweh came again the second time, and touched him, and said, arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee. 8th verse. And he arose and did eat and drank, and went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb. See, to go to that 40 days and 40 nights. And he came hither unto a cave, and lodged there, and behold, the word of Yahweh came to him, and he said unto him, what doest thou here, Elijah? So the Most High asked Elijah that. And he said, I have been very jealous for Yahweh, thy power of jealous of out of one power of hosts, For the children of Yasharahla have forsaken thy covenant, thrown down thy altars, and slain thy prophets with sword, and I, even I, am left, and they seek my life to take it away. And he said, Go forth and stand upon the mount before Yahweh. And behold, Yahweh passed by, and a great and strong wind rent the mountains and break it in pieces, the rock before Yahweh. But Yahweh was not in the wind, and after the wind an earthquake, but Yahweh was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake a fire, but Yahweh was not in the fire. And after the fire a still small voice. And it was so, when Elijah heard it, that he wrapped his face in his mantle and went out and stood in the entering in of the cave. And behold, there came a voice unto him and said, What dost thou here, Elijah? And he said, I have been very jealous for the power of Israel, Lord of hosts, because the children of Israel, Yasharahla, have forsaken thy covenant. Throw down thine altars and slain thy prophets with the sword, and I, even I, only am left, and they seek my life to take it away. And Yahweh said unto him, Go return on the way to the wilderness of Damascus, and when thou comest, anoint Hazael to be king over Syria. And Jehu the son of Nimshi shall thou anoint to be king of Yasharahla, and Elisha the son of Shaphat of Abimelech shall thou anoint to be prophet in thy room. And it shall come to pass that him that escapeth the sword of Hazael shall Jehu slew, and him that escapeth from the sword of Jehu shall Elisha slay. Yet I have left, Salakis, 18th verse, yet I have left me 7,000 men in Yasharahla, all the knees which have not bowed unto Baal, and every mouth which have not kissed him. So he departed thence and found Elisha the son of Shaphat, who was plowing with 12 yoke of oxen before him, and he with 12. And Elijah passed by him and cast his mantle upon him. And he left the oxen and ran after Elijah and said, Let me, I pray thee, kiss my father and my mother, and then I will follow thee. And he said unto him, Go back, for what have I done to thee? And he returned back from him and took a yoke of oxen and slew them and boiled the flesh and with the instruments of the oxen and gave unto the people, and they did eat. Then he arose and went after Elijah and ministered unto him. So I don't know if I was supposed to read that much, but you know I had to read that. It's been a while. So that's what? 1 Kings 19. Let's go real quick and get the history of King David. I should have went there first, but don't matter. 1 Kings, 2nd chapter. It's just going to point out that number again. You know, 1 Kings, 2nd chapter. We're still in 1 Kings. 2nd chapter of 1 Kings, and it's one verse, 11 verse. It says, 1 Kings, slack it. Not in the second, slack it. 1 Kings, 2nd chapter, and 11 verse reads, And the days that David reigned over Yasharahla were 40 years, 700, Salaki. And the days that David reigned over Israel were 40 years. 7 years reigned he in Hebron, and 33 years reigned he in Jerusalem. So it's showing you. And 12 verse said, Then sat Solomon upon the throne of David his father, and his kingdom was established greatly. So it's the 11th verse. I just wanted to show the year, 40 years, King David. See, that's significant, that 40 again. And remember, it's dealing with King David. Very significant. In 40 years, I told you. So what you're seeing is also a number of completion and also a number of purging. Okay? Because it tells you that in Numbers we read. It was a purging of sin. So you know where this is going. Right? For the, I mean, not, you know, far as the whole nation when he said in Numbers, referencing Numbers. Numbers 14 chapter. I started, so I'm not going to forget that. So Numbers 14 chapter, it was showing you a purging and cleansing of Yasharahla. And that was under Moses, and they continued. Different leaders. It was a purging, even under Gideon, judges. So it was a purging. And I just read the reign. He reigned as a king 40 years. Okay? It says here, it says what? Y'all read this before, most of you. 7 years he reigned in Hebron, and 30 years, which is the southern kingdom, and the 30 years, in 3 years, 30 and 3 years he reigned in Jerusalem, which is the northern part of Yasharahla, the lands. Well, and of course the whole nation, but those areas. So it was showing you a completion. It was also a completion and also signifying a purging, like it reads in Numbers 14 chapter. Just want y'all to remember that and keep that in mind. That's why I'm going over this number. It's very significant. It's very important. And the only difference is, well, we'll get to that. I don't want to ruin it. So this was us going through them captivity and fighting when we was free and when we was born. So it's just going through the history, man. It's good to know. And we're gonna continue on. Right? Where I want to go now. From here, I want to go to, oh yeah, more history. More history. More history. Right? And yeah. So let's go to from there. My pocket for us here. I know it's here. There you go. Not too far, right? From there, let's go in the Apocrypha now, second Esdras, the part of the Old Testament, right? Let's get some more history. Let's go to second Esdras, 14th chapter. Second Esdras, 14th chapter. And we will start at 23rd verse. Y'all know, most of y'all that, you know, read, y'all know this story too. It's not very, should be very familiar. Try to do this in some type of order with this part, right? A better order, rather, how you say, right? Let's go to let's read second Esdras and 14th chapter, and we're starting at the 23rd verse. And he answered me, saying, Go thy way, gather the people together, and say unto them, that they seek thee not for 40 days. They see, 40 days. So he did that with Moses. He about to show him something. Okay. But look thou, prepare 3 many box trees, and take with these, now he going to name them, Sarai, Dabria, Salamiah, Echonis, and Asiel, these 5 which are ready to write swiftly. Right? 25th verse. And come hither, and I shall light a candle of understanding in thy heart, meaning your mind, which shall not be put out till the things be performed which thou shalt begin to write. And when thou hast done some things shalt thou publish, and something shalt thou show secretly to the wise. Tomorrow this hour shalt thou begin to write. 27th verse. Then went I forth as he commanded, and gathered all the people together, and said, Hear these words, O Yasharahla. Our fathers at the beginning were strangers in Egypt, from whence they were delivered, and received the law of life which they kept not, which ye also have transgressed against him. Then was the land, even the land of Sion, departed among you by lot. But your fathers and ye yourselves have done unrighteousness, and have not kept the ways which the highest commanded you. And as far as much as he is a righteous judge, he took from you in time the thing that he had given you. And now are ye here, and your brethren among you. Therefore, so be that ye will subdue your own understanding and reform and your hearts, and ye shall be kept alive. After death ye shall obtain mercy. When he said reform, he means repent. 35th verse. For after and renewing of the mind. 35th verse. For after death shall the judgment come, when we shall live again, and then shall the names of the righteous be made manifest, and the works of the ungodly shall be declared. Right? And you can find that as also in the 12th chapter of Daniel, reads it similar. 36th verse. Let no man therefore come unto me now, nor seek after me these 40 days. So he about to be instructed by the Heavenly Father. 37th verse. So I took the 5 men as he commanded me, and went into the field and remained there. And the next day, behold, a voice called me, saying, Esdras, open thy mouth and drink that I give thee to drink. 39th verse. Then opened I my mouth, and behold, he reached me a full cup, which was full as it were with water, but the color of it was like fire. And I took it and drank, and when I had drunk of it, my heart uttered understanding, and wisdom grew in my breast, for my spirit strengthened my memory. And my mouth was open and shut no more. The highest gave me understanding unto the 5 men, and they wrote the wonderful visions of the night that were told, which they knew not. And they sat 40 days, and they wrote in the day, and at night they ate bread. 43rd verse. As for me, I spake in the day, and I held not my tongue by night. 44th verse. In 40 days they wrote 204 books. And it came to pass, when the 40 days were fulfilled, that the highest spake, saying, The first that thou hast written, publish openly, that the worthy and unworthy may read it. But keep the 70 last, that thou mayest deliver them only to such as be wise among the people. For in them is the spring of understanding, the fountain of wisdom, and the stream of knowledge. And 48th verse. And I did so. So he was shown history and prophecy. Esdras was shown that and revealed many things. Right? Even that's coming up even to these times we're living in. Right? But I told y'all we're in the book of Revelation, though. All right, let's go real quick. 2 Maccabees. 2 Maccabees, the 5th chapter. And I don't know if I'm going to read all the way through. I don't know. I know we got to start at the first verse, though. And, yeah, I might go ahead and do that. It makes, you know, I could stop. Well, I'm going to read at the first verse. And, yeah. 2 Maccabees, 5th chapter and the 1st verse. About the same time, Antiochus prepared, Salakia. About the same time, Antiochus prepared his 2nd voyage into Egypt. And then it happened that through all the city for the space of almost 40 days, there were seen horsemen running in the air and cloth of gold and armed with lances like a band of soldiers, and troops of horsemen in array, encountering and running one against another, with shaking of shields and multitude of pikes and drawing of swords and casting of darts and glittering of golden ornaments and a harness of all sorts. Wherefore every man prayed that apparition might turn to good. So they seen the angels in war apparel in the heavens. Those was angels. 5th verse. Now when there was gone forth a false rumor as though Antiochus had been dead, Jason took at the least 1,000 men and suddenly made an assault upon the city. And they that were upon the walls being put back, and the city at length taken, Menelaus fled into the castle. So the man Jason was a traitor, and you're going to read down, find out Menelaus was also one of his nation of Yasharahla. They were traitors, you know, and they was representing the enemy, Antiochus and them. You read on, 6th verse, it says, but Jason slew his own citizens, meaning slew his own people of Yasharahla, without mercy, not considering that to get the day of them of his own nation would be a most unhappy day for him, but thinking they had been his enemies and not his countrymen whom he conquered. Howbeit, for all this he obtained not the principality, but at last, but at the last received shame for the reward of treason, and fled again into the country of the Ammonites. 8th verse. In the end, therefore, he had an unhappy return, being accused before Aretas, the king of the Arabians, fleeing from city to city, pursued of all men, hated as a forsaker of the laws, see, and being had in a abomination as an open enemy of his country and countrymen, he was cast out into Egypt. See, he was a traitor. He was a wicked person. 9th verse. Thus he that had driven many out of their country perished in a strange land, retiring to the Macedonians, and thinking there to find succor by reason of his kindred, like being amongst people. Nope. 10th verse. And he that had cast out many unburied had none of to mourn for him, nor any silent funerals at all, nor sepulchres with his sepulchre with his father. Now see that he died in shame. Okay, and now when this that was done came to the king's ear, he thought that Judea had revolted, whereupon removing out of by force of arms, and commanded his men of war not to spare such as they met, and to slay such as went up upon the houses. Thus there was killing of young and old, making away of men and women and children, slaying of virgins, young women, and infants. You see this sound familiar? And this was under the time of the Greeks at this time. This was the Greeks, because this was under Antiochus. And when you read up, this was under one of his captains too. Done under one of the Antiochus captains. Right? So I'm going to read on. 14th verse. And there were destroyed within the space of 3 whole days 80,000, which was 80,000, whereof 40,000 were slain in the conflict. So 40,000 was confirmed dead in a war. And no fewer so than slain. Yet was he not content with this, but presumed to go into the most holy temple of all the world, Menelaus, that traitor to the laws and to his own countrymen, being his guide. So he led the Greek captain into this. I'm gonna read on because I'm read this far, right? And taking the holy vessels, so he went into the temple and taking the holy vessels with polluted hands and with profane hands, pulling down the things that were dedicated by other kings to the augmentation and glory and honor of the place, he gave them away. See? And so haughty was Antiochus in his mind that he considered not that Yahweh was angry for a while, for the sins of them, meaning the sins of Israel, of them dwelt in the city, and therefore his eye was not upon the place, meaning the Most High let it happen. For had they not been formerly wrapped in many sins, talking about Israel, this man, as soon as he had come, had forthwith been scourged and put back from his presumptions, as Helodorus was from Seleucus the king sent to view the treasury. Nevertheless, Yahweh did not choose the people for the place's sake, but the place for the people's sake. So he let the temple be destroyed by them, basically, because of the sins of Yasharahla. And therefore the place itself was partaker with them of the adversity that happened to the nation, and did afterwards communicate in the benefits sent from Yahweh. And as it was forsaken in the wrath of the Almighty, so again the great out of one being reconciled, it was set up with all glory. I'm going to read one more verse, 21st verse. So when Antiochus had carried out of the temple 1,800 talents, he departed in all haste unto Antiochia, weaning in his pride to make the land navigable and the sea passable by the foot. Such was the haughtiness of his mind. And 22nd verse, and he left governors to vex the nation at Jerusalem, Philip for his country, a Phrygian, and for manners more barbarous than he that set him up, than he that set him there, rather. Right, so when you read on, he set up Menelaus, who was basically house nigga captain. Long story short. So I'm gonna go back to that part when it's referencing the temple, and that was the 5th chapter of 2nd Maccabees we was reading out of, right? If you get a chance, you read it for yourself. This also, when he talk about the temple, it's probably a different, I don't know how far at the time, but Joel spoke of that too. Y'all already know where I'm going. You already know Joel, those of you, right? So he said, let's see. Oh no, this going tells in a little part about the history of the slavery. But I want to jump to 3 and 6, and it says, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from the border. Behold, I will raise them out of this place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people far off. Right, so That's prophecy of Joel, talking about a future prophecy when we start putting these nations in captivity. So he's going to return it on their head. What was done to us under them during the time of the Greeks. That's why it reads the Grecians. And that's why he referred to, and when you read Joel, he refers to the nation of Edom, Caucasian people, their origins as, because they was the second origins. They wasn't the first. We was the first Greeks. Initially, during the time of King Solomon, we traveled. So, but by this time, Esau got that name, but he was perverse. He was known for evil, the wicked. So I'm giving you a synopsis, right? So we was Hellenized through their wickedness, customs, some of our people that followed them. So when you read Joel, Most High calling them, telling you these are the same people. The Grecians, 6th verse in Joel. And this prophecy too, future prophecy. This is more prophecy that's going to happen in the near future, basically, in Joel. So this is still history we're reading in the Apocrypha. I don't want to confuse y'all. Just want to separate it, but showing you he called them by them same names, Grecians, when you read the book of Joel. And he was telling you their future. How about that? Captivity. I love it. Anyway, Matthew, real quick. Yeah, I'm done with that part of the Apocrypha. Now we're going to go into the Gospel a little. Let's go to Matthew. We're still dealing with that 40. Because I thought I was going to name it 40 years, but I should just name it 40. But yeah, still dealing with that number, though. That was a serious number with the Most High. That's what I want y'all to get. Right? Let's go to Matthew real quick, 4th chapter. Matthew 4th chapter, and let's start at the 1st verse. Matthew 1st chapter. Then was H.I.S led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil, of the spiritual demon, Satan himself. Okay, to be clear. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward a-hungered. He was coming off that fast. He hungry. And when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of Yahweh, command that these stones be made bread. 4th verse. But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yahweh. So, yeah, man, meaning the Most High going to sustain you, literally. That's why you hear about the prophets and certain kings fasting 40 days and 40 nights, like Moses and so on. The Most High sustained them. That's why he said that right after Yahushua. Who know better than Yahushua? He was the fire with the cloud by night, fire by day, and fire by night, cloud by day. He was watching everything. He was instructing, making sure everything all right. Who you think that angel was when Moses was spoken in the fire in the burning bush? It was an angel there. Who you think that angel was? Yahushua. Angel means messenger. It was Yahushua. He said, man, take your foot off here. This is holy ground. Catch up. I love it. Let's go to Mark 1. Mark 1. Right? Mark 1. Mark 1st chapter. In other words, Mark 1st chapter. And the 13th verse reads. Just getting y'all a reference, dealing with 40. And he was there in the wilderness 40 days tempted of Satan, and was with the wild beasts, and the angels ministered unto him. See, I read that because you don't hear that part. And it's important. So he was literally in the wilderness amongst the wild beasts. Right? I did that for a reason. 40 days, 40 nights being tempted of Satan. Okay? Right? You know what? I'm going to read down to the 15th verse. 14th verse reads, Now after that, John was put in prison. Hamashiach Yahushua came into Galilee, preaching the gospel of the kingdom of Yahweh, and saying, The time is fulfilled, and the kingdom of Yahweh is at hand. Repent ye and believe the gospel. See? Believe the gospel. Right? Let's go real quick to right over another book, Book of Luke. That's what? It's in the 4th chapter. Them numbers are significant with the Most High. You better pay attention. That's what I'm telling you. Luke, 4th chapter. We're going to start at the 1st verse. It says, And Yahushua, being full of the Holy Spirit, returned from Jordan and was led by the Spirit into the wilderness. He was led by Rakakwadash in the Spirit. Was led by Rakakwadash into the wilderness. 2nd verse. Being 40 days tempted of the devil, and in those days he did eat nothing, and when they were ended, he afterward hungered. Right? So, afterward hungered mean, you know, he was physically hungry, flesh. So he let the spirit come down and that flesh come back alive. So when it came back alive, he was hungry. Y'all know the story when he met with the disciples. I think it was after the resurrection too. He told them, give me some fish. They gave him fish and honeycomb. Like John the Baptist. Yeah. Y'all know how I read in the gospel. And this was after his resurrection. After his death and then, of course, the resurrection. He appeared amongst the apostles. And they were shocked. What? Why? He told you. Y'all knew what he was, who he was, what he was doing all that time. But, you know, he had to make a grand appearance. Who's telling the story? The Most High. So he can do that. It had to happen that way. It wasn't I saying, it was the Most High. He got us. He ordered our steps. Right? Literally. How about that? St. John, 2nd chapter. Y'all get it? St. John, the 2nd chapter. Still in the gospel. St. John, 2nd chapter. Right? I don't know if I'm going to actually start at that verse. We're going to start at the 19th verse. Okay. Let's go to, we're going to start at, I think I said, we're going to read up. Right. So, matter of fact, I got to do that. I was going to start at between 19, but I'm going to go up even further. Believe me, it's going to be brief this time. Right? So, let's start at the, actually the 15th verse. We're going to go up to the 5th, start at St. John, 2nd chapter, and we're going to start at the 15th verse. And when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove them all out of the temple, and the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money, and overthrew the tables, and said unto them that sold doves, take these things thence, make not my father's house a house of merchandise. 17th verse. And his disciples remembered that it was written, the zeal of thine house hath eaten me up. All right, referencing Psalm 69 and 9, okay? 18th verse. Then answered the Jews and said unto him, What sign showest thou unto us, seeing that thou doest these things? Like, who are you? 19th verse. The nerve of them, right? 19th verse. Yahushua answered and said unto them, Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. 20th verse. Then said the Jews, 46 years was this temple in the building, and wilt thou rear it up in 3 days? See, they was talking about the physical temple. 21st verse. But he spake of the temple of his body. How about that? 22nd verse. When therefore he was risen from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said unto them, and they believed the scripture and the word which Yahushua had said. Now when he was in Jerusalem at the Passover and the feast day, many believed in his name when they saw the miracles which he did. But Yahushua did not commit himself unto them, because he knew all men and needed not that any should testify of man, for he knew what was in man. So he didn't, in other words, he didn't hang around in there. He kept it moving. But Yahushua did not commit himself unto them, because he knew all of them. He knew the minds of men. You'll take it further because of what they see. Now I'm going to read the 23rd verse, and I'm going to go somewhere else. Again, St. John 2nd chapter and 23rd verse. Now when he was in Jerusalem at the Passover and the feast day, many believed in his name when they saw the miracles which he did. Why did it read that? Why I had to put that in there like that? They believed him when they saw the miracles. Y'all know where I'm going. Isaiah. Isaiah 8th chapter. You can't tell me, man. 8th chapter. Isaiah 8th chapter. And we're going to read the 18th verse. Behold, I and the children whom Yahweh have given me are for signs and for wonders in Yasharahla, from the Lord of hosts, which dwelleth in Mount Zion. 19th verse. And when they shall say unto you, Seek unto them that have familiar spirits, and unto wizards that peep and that mutter, should not a people seek unto their power, their God? For the living to the dead. 20th verse. To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them, meaning there's no truth in them. Right, so don't speak of these laws and the testimonies of the Holy Bible. There's no truth in them. So, a matter of fact, I'm going to jump up to the 16th verse. It says here, we're in Isaiah 8th chapter and the 16th verse real quick. And I will wait upon Yahweh that hideth his face from the house of Jacob, and I will look for him. Salakia, sorry. I read the 16th verse. Bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples. Read that again. Bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples. 17th verse. I will wait upon Yahweh that hideth his face from the house of Jacob, and I will look for him. See? 18th verse. Behold, I and the children whom Yahweh have given me are for signs and for wonders in Yasharahla, from Yahweh, the Lord of hosts, which dwelleth in Mount Zion. So the Most High dwelleth in Mount Zion. I mentioned that for a reason. Y'all better pay attention to that Isaiah 8 and 18. Meditate on it. Right? So what I read in St. John 2, and I read up from, 15 verse down to 20. Actually, I read down to 21 and 22. Yeah, I read all the way down to 24. So I read from 15 to 24 verse. Yeah, I gotta note that again. 24 verse. I read further than I expected, and I started up, and I still highlighted. Let's read 20th verse. What was in 20? Oh no, that's not. No. Okay. I see what happened. All right, so it was good history to read in the gospel. Y'all pay attention to that, these scriptures, because we're gonna be a short quick. I'll tell you that number significance of purging, man. So we read in Matthew, he fasted 40 days and 40 nights, just like Moses. Purging of Israel, the redeeming of Israel back to the Most High. It was for who? The nation of Yasharahla, Hamashiach Yahawashah, the Savior, okay, who was with us from the beginning of the book. How about that? That's why I went there like that. Okay, let's go. Excuse me, Acts, first chapter. And let's start at it's just a reference. Still telling you. Right? Matter of fact, let's start at the second verse. Acts first chapter and the second verse. Right? Second verse reads, until the day in which he was taken up. After that, he through the Holy Spirit had given commandments unto the apostles whom he had chosen. See? Gave commandments to the apostles whom he had chosen. Right? First referencing the 12 specifically, and then those after, right? And all the way down. Because they discipled the others. They kept that going. Third verse. To whom also he showed himself alive after his passion by many infallible proofs, being seen of them 40 days, and speaking of things pertaining to the kingdom of Yahweh. Now check this out. That's why I started at the second verse. I'm going to read it again, though, just to make sure y'all get it. Until the day in which he was taken up. Until the day in which he was taken up. After that, through the Holy Spirit, had given commandments unto the apostles whom he had chosen. Third verse. To whom also he showed himself alive after his passion by many infallible proofs, being seen of them 40 days, speaking of the things pertaining to the kingdom of Yahweh. So after he resurrected, he was with the apostles basically 40 days. Right? He was instructing them. He was teaching them. After the initial years he was with them before the crucifixion, right? They was in training. Then after he died and resurrected, he went and instructed them again 40 days. Now, very few people bring that out, but it's very significant. I told you, 40 days instructing his apostles. It's so important. This was strict orders after the resurrection, because they was given a great assignment after that. There was no chill out. It was work time. And them apostles, even up to the one in other histories, the one that got his body, they did great, wondrous miracles and works, teaching the gospel. Make no mistake about it. And them 40 days was heavy. This not counting before the resurrection, when he fasted 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness. This is after he instructed them, after the death and his resurrection. He went to them and instructed them 40 days. Serious, man. Right? Let's go real quick to Luke. I'm gonna actually jump back a little. I'm almost finished. Right? I got, yeah, let's go back to Luke real quick. Let's go back a little. Let's go to Luke real quick. I want to bring out a significant part that happened. Now it's history, you could say, right? Matthew, Mark, Luke. Let's go to Luke, 21st chapter. A lot of you already know where I'm going. A lot of you are already familiar with the book of Luke, especially this chapter. It's very important because this happened what? Not only after the resurrection, but this was this is what our enemies did. Something our enemies did. It was very significant. It was evil, of course, but and it goes into the other part of the history. But I'm gonna reference that. I'm not gonna go in. I'm just gonna go into Luke 21st chapter, and we're gonna start at the 20th verse. It says, "And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereunto." 22nd verse. "For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled." And that's referencing, I guess it's at Daniel, 9th chapter, right? Prophecy by Daniel, right? And 23rd verse, "But woe unto them that are with child and them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land and wrath upon this people." 24th verse, "And they shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring." So we know how it reads on, right? We're going to stop at where we was at 24 and 25. So we're going to stop there. So this is the Romans. They moved in on Jerusalem. So there was two different parts. We read in Apocrypha where they did the same thing as the Greeks. Tore the temple down, raised hell, tore it down. Okay? And they did it again as the Romans. Right? And when you read Luke 21 and 20. Right? All the way down to the 24th and 25th verse. Well, 24th verse. So, and in the same story in Matthew 24th chapter. So, in the 19th verse. So, there was two times they did that as the Greeks and the Romans. Right? Just wanted to make that clear. Now, they moved on Jerusalem, right? Now I want to ask you a question. Y'all already can answer, you know. 30 AD, Christ was crucified. He was born in 4 BC, and you count the following year. Get his number, 33. So, in 30 AD, Christ was crucified. After his crucifixion, from the time of his crucifixion, all the way up to 70 AD, in 70 AD, that's when they moved on Jerusalem. When we read in Luke 21st chapter and the 20th verse, that happened in 70 AD. That happened in that time period, 70 AD. So between that time is what? From 30 AD to 70 AD, you get 40 years. From 30 AD to 70 AD, you get 40 years. Okay? Significant. And it was also a completion and purging for the iniquities of Yasharahla. This is why he instructed them in Luke 20, first chapter, and the 20th verse. That's why he went through it and said that. Because he knew what the damn heathen Romans was going to do. It was specific. It's very important. Write that precept down. Okay? In your notes, write it down. Write it down, write it down. Very significant. I was taught this when I first came in. I remember going over this. It was a very important chapter, Luke 21st chapter. It's history. Right? From there, let's go to Zechariah, 14th chapter. Because I mentioned, because this is, like I said, you say, going into prophecy, future prophecy, mind you. Right? Oh, wow. I got to write this up here. I'm almost about to leave out something. Y'all can notate Acts 5:29 and 31. Y'all know that. A lot of y'all familiar. But I'm going to go over, well, after I go through Revelation, I might reference back. I'm going to have to, because I got to cover that. It's very important. And we want to go a few precepts in that. But we're going to go over the understanding of what we're reading, because it's Revelations. You got to do it. Right? So, from there, we're going to still go to Zechariah. I think we can still, let me see. But from there, we're going to go to Zechariah. And I don't know if I should go to that. Let me look at Revelations real quick. See what I wanted to bring out. But y'all, right now, y'all can go to Zechariah. Try to finish up fast, finish this, because there's only like 2 main precepts I got to really deal with. A couple of precepts, but there's only 2 books I got to basically go to. So I'm trying to wrap this up, because it's getting lengthy. Boy, let's see. Yeah, we're going to read real quick. We're going to go to, let me get Revelations, because I already know what I want to go over in Zechariah, right? Let me get Revelations real quick. Let me stick at something real quick. And y'all everybody turn to Zechariah, because that's what we're going to go afterwards. I might have to reference back. And yeah, yeah, I'll reference that. I hope y'all don't get confused. I'm going to try to explain it to the best of my ability. I understand. I hope y'all understand. That's my whole thing. I know what I'm reading. I know what I understand. But I just hope y'all understand it when I do read it. I'm going to try to break it and make it as simple as term. Matter of fact, I got a precept for that. And let me write it down. It's going to prove my point so y'all to understand. I'm not willy-nilly with the precept or the understanding, okay? Let's get Zechariah 14th chapter real quick. That's why I told y'all to go first. And we're just going to read, showing you that, and I'm going to reference it, because I have it written, and I'll just reference it. Y'all can write it down. Because, like I said, I'm trying to wrap it up. Zechariah 14th chapter, we're going to start at the first verse, reads, Behold, the day of Yahweh cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the cities shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Third verse, Then shall Yahweh go forth and fight against those nations as when he fought in the day of battle. Fourth verse, And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem, on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west, and there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south. And ye shall flee in the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountain shall to reach unto Azel. Yea, ye shall flee, like as ye fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah king of Judah. And Yahweh my power shall come, and Yahweh shot and yeah, same one, and out of one Yahweh shot my power shall come, and all the saints with thee. See, that's very important. There's a lot in there. Let me just underline this so I don't miss. See, that's why I wanted to go into it. I'm telling you. I gotta highlight that. Not even underline. I gotta highlight that one. See, because when you read stuff, you know, people, you tell them, you're like, no, they'll sit there and don't gonna understand it. Now, remember how it reads in Isaiah 47 chapter. So this ain't no metaphor. This is actually gonna happen. When it tells you, when the scripture reads, it says, and his feet shall stand in that day upon Mount Olives, which is before Jerusalem. That's actually going to happen on Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west, and there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward. Like we just read, it's going to be a great earthquake. Then reading the 5th verse. But that's where Yahweh Shai is going to appear. He's going to come as that Titan. That's why it says his foot is describing him. He's going to come as a Titan of righteousness, a deliverer. And he's going to fight against those nations, like we read in the 3rd verse. Then shall out of one go forth and fight against those nations as when he fought in the day of battle. That's talking about Yahweh Shai. And that's also, I got to go to it. When this happened, it's talking about when them nations are there. And it's mentioned, like it mentions in the book of Joel. Remember, where does the Most High dwell? In Zion. Where's Zion? In the land of Israel. Yeah. It ain't rocket science, right? Well, you think why it reads that way? In the Mount of Olives. Why Yahweh Shai gonna appear? Why land is that? In Jerusalem, the actual land. So, when you read Joel, let me see if I can find it real quick. What does it say in Joel 2nd chapter in the 1st verse? Blow ye the trumpet in Zion and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yahweh cometh, for it is nigh at hand. Meaning he's going to appear there. And he's going to fight against those nations. Because that's where all the nations at. Well, when the scripture call it the Valley of Decision. I'm trying to find it real quick. It's in the 2nd chapter, the Valley of Decision. And if I'm correct, we read that in the book of Ezra when he said his armies. We read that. Okay. Probably in the wrong. But I'm trying to find in the valley. There you go. That's the Valley of Decision, the Valley of Jehoshaphat. 3rd chapter and the 12th verse. Why? Because that's where all nations are going to appear. That's why you see China and Russia moving aggressively like that and talking big, man. And showing in action with their ships in the sea. That day is near. And they're all going to be in the land with a war going on. And guess who's going to show up? Surprise. Yeah, they're going to war with each other for a minute. And then you're going to get a visitation. It reads, it tell you, this is instruction for war. I'm going to read it. Joel 3rd chapter, the 9th verse. I'm going to start there. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I'm strong. Y'all a lot there in the 10th verse. You stop working and prepare for war. Okay? This what I want you to do. right? That's what he basically saying. He said, let the weak say I'm strong. The weak nations, what? When he said that, what? They got nuclear power. They got stronger weapons now. The smallest nations. How about that? Like Iran, all right? Drones, etc., right? It says, 12th verse, let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Why are you going to judge them, war? Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the vats overflow, for their wickedness is great. So he got to judge the earth. And that's referencing Isaiah 63 and 3 too. Excuse me. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. See, didn't I tell you? That's the valley of Jehoshaphat. Multitudes, multitudes in the 14th verse. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Yahweh out of one, Yahweh shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. But Yahweh will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Yasharahla. So shall ye know that I am Yahweh, for your power dwelling in Zion, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall no strangers pass through her anymore. I know I read more than I was supposed to, but hey, it happens. You gotta give you that history. Gotta give you that prophecy, rather. How about that? Right? So I just read one back to Zechariah 14th chapter. I read 1 to 5. Y'all read it on your own, right? Then show you coming with all the saints. I read it again in Joel 3:9 all the way down, right? And come and all the saints with thee. This is in Zechariah 14th chapter and the 5th verse. And that's I referenced in the 144, right? So how you know it's talking about? It's talking about the nation of Israel. Y'all know how Psalms 147 and 19 and 20 read, right? Y'all heard it? You me quote it? Write it down. And it tells you, that's why I went through it. It tells you in Isaiah 47 and 3, he shall not meet thee as a man. That's why he's going to stand on Mount Olive. Who that? Hamashiach Yahushua. Real quick, this is the last one, precept, Revelations 12 chapter. And I wrote down, but I see me hold it, but I'm going to see if I can find Ephesians real quick, because I know y'all gonna do it, but I know you're gonna do it, but I'm gonna get ready. Go to Revelations, right? It's gonna prove my point too. I'm gonna see if I can. Yeah, example came already. Salaki, it's already there. My spirit. All right. Revelations 12:7 verse reads. Yeah, start at the 7th verse. I'm not going to read 6. I'm just going to read 7. Matter of fact, I'm going to have to read 6. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she had a place prepared of Yahweh, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. That's future prophecy. Yeah. 7th verse. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. Now this is a different time period right here. 7th verse. It jumps. 7th verse. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, spiritual demon Satan, and devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power and the power of his anointed, Hamashiach Yahushua. For our accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our power day and night. what I'm supposed to read up to. Okay, I read a little more. Yeah, that's 10th verse, day and night. Now, when it tell you about he was cast down, it's talking about a lower part of the heavens of earth. Prove that, we're going to go to Ephesians 2:2 real quick. Ephesians 2:2, it reads, when the time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air. See? And the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience, meaning the vibration. When Satan was cast down, his vibration of evil was on the earth. Okay, and this fight was actually a fight with the spirit angels. It was the evil angels versus the righteous angels. And when you read in another chapter in Revelations, this is going to happen again. Because I think it's the part when it says, and there was silence in heaven, this is going to happen again. This, what you read in 12 is going to happen in the spirit world, and at a certain time, I can't call it, but it did happen because we know Ephesians 2:2, they was cast down to a lower heavens. And I say that because the lower heavens, if you understand creation, I did a topic on flat earth, the firmament, who sits on above? He said the heavens is the most high throne. So if he was cast out, that meant he had to go lower to the lower parts of the earth, the lower parts of the heavens. And it tells you in Ephesians 2:2, he dwells in the air, a certain part of the heavens, but below the firmament. I know that's a lot for y'all, but if you read, go over the topic, I think it's on my channel, YouTube channel, Earth, Flat Earth, and I go into it a little. It's another brother that taught that class after me, because that was taught in 2018. He came, he taught a very good class. The brother and Captain Yasharahla at House of David, HODC. He taught an excellent class. I got to give it to him. But mine was enough to give you understanding to get this part. And yeah. But yeah, that's why he's the prince of the power of air. We read it in Ephesians 2:2. This is the Apostle Paul. Okay? So in Revelations 12:6-10, it's going to happen twice. And this is also going to happen on a return of Hamashiach Yahushua. And you read in the other chapters of Revelation when he said there was silence in heaven. That's when all the angels are going to literally come out in war. Oh, yeah. Just like you read in, what was it, Maccabees? And they thought it was an apparition. They seen the angels, the righteous angels in the air with war parallel. Oh, man. That history, that prophecy is something. I love it. Yeah, man. And with that, I think that's it. And with that, I'm going to say shalom till next time. I got to remember the title. Jeez. I think I got it here. Until next time, brothers and sisters, shalom. And this was a class that was long overdue since I did the last class, when you see on YouTube. So this is like a part 2. And I really didn't go into it, but I'd probably continue with the salvation Yasharahla. Oh, but I did cover Titan, salvation Yasharahla, the appearing of Hamashiach Yahushua. I did go over those scriptures. And with that, I'm going to say shalom until next time. Shalom.